I became obsessed with this notion that you can travel full-time with your home, not paying for hotels, and having literally everything you need. In terms of the build itself, I worked from my life savings. So as a teacher, I saved up a certain amount of money and I was like, okay, so now this is what I can budget to the build, and then I still had a buffer room if something were to happen, that I'd have that extra cash. And many things did happen with breakdowns. This is my 2020 Ram ProMaster Cargo Van 1500, and let's take a tour. This is the kitchen space. When I first got the van, it was an empty cargo van, and my thought was I wanted two separate counter spaces. I wanted a counter space kind of to be for cooking, prepping, all of that stuff with nothing on it. And then over here, I wanted the sink area with a cover so that it's not just an open sink. I can also use it as a counter when I want the extra space. And I purposely put the sink facing this way for two reasons. One, I wanted to be able to cook with the door open. I don't do that often, but I thought it was a really cool idea. And then also down there, the cabinet opens to the outside, which my two water jugs I can easily take out from the outside rather than just the inside cabinet. So it just makes it a little bit easier. That was my dad's idea. Thank you, Dad, because it was probably the best thing in this van. And I was also kind of on a budget build. I didn't need anything fancy. I was like, I don't need hot water. I don't need running water. So I went with a foot pump sink, and it's worked. I don't think I would do that in my next build, but it has gotten me through the last 2.5 years. And then this part folds open for a little bit extra counter space if I need it. I can cook on it, and then I can turn my chair if I want an extra eating space as well. Cooking-wise, again, I didn't want anything too expensive, budget build. I have like this fear of propane, so I didn't really want propane in the van, so I actually use a portable butane stove. I take it out, I set it on the counter, I cook right here, and again, with a view. And it does the job. I have no complaints about the portable cooktop. The only thing is it makes cooking, I guess, a little bit more burdensome of having to get things out and setting up rather than just having it right there. I have a pretty small 12-volt fridge. It does the job, holds about a week's worth of food. And then I also have two drawers. This is actually my bathroom drawer. This is my kitchen drawer. It holds like silverware, miscellaneous items, all that fun stuff. And then I also have a spice rack, which was super fun to build with my dad. He was like, no way. And I was like, I'm making it. And so it's turned into kind of like a wine and spice rack with also miscellaneous canned goods. And then up here we have the normal kitchen stuff. So the plates, cups, all that stuff, as well as some extra food stuff I store up there because I don't have a lot of kitchen storage, and that's definitely something I would change in a future build as well. So now basics into the financial aspect of the van. So I bought the van for about $30,000. I put a $5,000 deposit down when I bought it, and I'm still paying it off. It's almost done, but still paying it off now. And then in terms of the build itself, I worked from my life savings. So as a teacher, I saved up a certain amount of money, and I was like, okay, so now this is what I can budget to the build, and then I still had a buffer room if something were to happen, that I'd have that extra cash. And many things did happen with breakdowns. So that was definitely something I highly recommend if you have a build that you definitely have a buffer because things happen on the road. I thought it was gonna be something inside the van breaking more often than it did when it was actually the van itself. Monthly expenses in the van, I average around $3,000 a month. The way I work and travel, things are not always cheaper than house life, but I am paying insurance, health insurance out of my pocket, which is $400 a month. And then the van payment is $350 a month. And then gas is anywhere between $400 and $600 monthly. And I could make that a lot less if I didn't move around so much. So right there, we already have like almost $1,500 in expenses for the month. Okay, so now we are in my living area. Which consists of two benches. One bench doesn't have under storage space because my heater's under there, so I don't like to put anything else under there. It has its own bench area. This is my only under storage bench, and it basically houses the dirty clothes and some sweatshirts and laundry detergents and my butane stove. I have my bedroom / office drawer here, and then I have another just miscellaneous drawer that holds more office stuff, random miscellaneous paperwork, that kind of stuff. And then I have my table right here as well so that I can have 2 people eating at one time. And then behind this curtain is hiding the toilet, so I can just pull it out into the aisle of the van to go to the bathroom, and it's kind of perfect. The toilet is a Nature's Head compost toilet, which I strongly recommend. It is probably the best thing that I bought for the van because I don't have to worry about not going to the bathroom in the van or dealing with just not compost. Compost makes it so much easier in my opinion, and although the most expensive part of the builds, well worth it. Welcome to my bedroom now. This is a full-size bed with about 2 inches cut off of the bottom. In hindsight, I thought that that was gonna be great, like more than enough space. I laid on it and was like, I fit, this is perfect. But once you add a pillow, you actually don't fit. My toes hit the bottom, so that gets quite annoying sometimes. So that is definitely something in hindsight I probably would not have done. I would have cut out a little bit more space just to keep it a full-size bed. Behind the bed, I have a bunk window that we installed ourselves. I love it. This is great, not only just for 1, views, but 2, it allows for a breeze to come in when I have my vent fan on, which is perfect to have next to my head when it's a little bit too warm for my liking in the van. Then I also have 2 cabinets overhead. This is my closet per se. My only thing with this is that I don't have a lot of space because it's actually tilted inside based on how the roof is. And a lot of my stuff actually stays under the bed, which I never go into. So unless it's up here, that is all I basically have for clothing, which means I'm re-wearing the same thing probably 3 times a week. But it works out. You don't need to wear a whole lot of different things in the van. And when I really want to, with different weather, I can go underneath, switch it out, and it works fine. How did I get here exactly? When I was 18, I was interning at my first big girl job, and my boss and I often got distracted from the actual work and ended up looking at blogs and traveling the world. And I was already very into travel, but she introduced me to my first van lifer at 18. And ever since then, I became obsessed with this notion that you can travel full-time with your home, not paying for hotels, and having literally everything you need. So from that point, it kind of went to the back of my mind as like a pipe dream, like this is never gonna happen. I was a teacher when COVID hit, and as much as I love that profession, it was not for me. And I think COVID kind of showed me that there was more to life outside of just the workplace. This idea of freedom and the ability to do what I want when I want was eye-opening. And so at the end of 2020, as cliche as this sounds, I wrote on a piece of paper as my New Year's resolution, number 1, buy a van. And in April of 2021, I bought this van. Here I am, living exactly how I couldn't even imagine, I guess, 3 years ago when this all started, or we could back it up to 10 years ago when the dream truly started. And I'm so grateful for the ability to be able to do this and to have gotten to this point. Come to my garage area of the van. For picture purposes, I have these nice curtains to hide everything because once you open the curtains, it's not so pretty, but it gets the job done. So back here, we'll start with my water. So this is my drinking water. I come back here, fill up a gallon jug that I bring to the front, so it's just easier that way. This is a slide out table that I can cook on. It has a little bit of storage underneath. I have rarely used it, but I really love the idea, and I tell myself I should use it more. And then for the most part, the rest is just a storage area. I also have all of my electric back here, so that is basically what houses and powers the entire van. I rarely touch it down here, which is amazing, which means it's working perfectly. I have 200 watts of solar on the top that powers most of the van off grid. It lasts for probably a day without sun because I only have a 100 amp hour lithium ion battery. So if I had more battery, I could go probably longer than a day. But I, again, was on a budget build, skimped on the battery power a little bit. That is definitely the first thing I would change about this build. Van life has completely changed, I think, everything I ever thought about life in general. What I want out of life is not what I used to think. I think now it has become This idea that I get to choose where life brings me rather than life choosing for me. Thank you so much for touring my little home on wheels with me. Again, my name is Danny, and if you're interested in this lifestyle or my life in general, you can find pretty much everything online at Stumbling Upon Serendipity. That is on everything: Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. It is all the same handle, and I also have a website, stumblinguponserendipity.com. I hope to see you guys there.